Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. I'm finally getting back to the box of watches that I received as a trade for my two vintage pal yachts. I kind of had a few other videos that I wanted to do in the meantime, and yeah, but we've already looked at some of them. I've shown you this shockingly, surprisingly amazing looking Esprit watch. That is so cool. And I took the two G-Shocks camping with me and gave my first impressions. The metal G-Shock, as well as the absolutely murdered out resin one. So tonight we're going to be looking at the last two watches. One of these pieces is by a brand that I've never heard of before, and the other one was actually included as a gift. So let's turn the camera around and take a look at these watches. Alright, so let's look at the gift watch first. This is a great looking edifice watch. It's a quartz piece, and look at how thin it is for a sporty watch with 100 meters of water resistance. That's pretty cool. And both of these watches have great case designs. And the use of brushing and polishing. Yeah, look at that. It's polished here. And then brushed on the side. There's some visible screws here. It's not a screwed down crown at all. The bracelet is all brushed. I like how there's angles in here. Kind of tech or futuristic looking. Right in there. It's brushed on the top and then polished right here on the sides of the bezel. What I really like about this watch though, I mean the texture on the dial is pretty cool too, actually. Kind of a vertical texturing there. But what I like about this watch the most, I like that green seconds hand, and you'll notice that the indices have kind of a greenish color just on the bevels on the sides of them. So it's really subtle. You just kind of get the feeling that there's some color going on with those. But unless you're actually looking for it, you can't quite put your finger on it. It's very Milgauss-like in a way, and it has a sapphire crystal. The hands are pretty cool on this piece. The counterweights on them are very large, which is fun. But yeah, I think that green and just how thin it is, I think those are my favorite aspects of this watch. The date window is nice and subtle, and look at that, it's white on black. So you can still tell the date, but it's kind of invisible there, which is cool. Yeah, I like the design of this case. It's just crazy how thin it is. It's wild. So yeah, that's the edifice. Here is the Cestrian, and that is a brand that I had not heard of until I received this watch. This piece is really impressive. Polished and brushed links there, which kind of seems to elevate this design. There's only a couple different micro adjustments, so you're a bit limited there. There aren't really any half links either. Display case back. This watch has 100 meters of water resistance. I'm going to have to do some research into this brand because, yeah, I hadn't heard of it until I saw this watch. Look at the brushing and then polishing and back to brushing. That is wild. Polished bezel there. And look at the texture on this dial. It's sort of like a warm silver dial. Sunburst. It looks really good in person. That is a really cool color. And the touches of orange. They did a great job framing the date window. It's tiny and subtle, but makes it look next level. You know, it's not just a square cut out of the dial. The frame makes it look elegant. This whole watch looks pretty elegant. I mean, look at what they did with the crown. It's black with sort of a shield in there. Let's see if I can capture that. In person, it's kind of difficult to see that shield, but it looks really cool. There, you can kind of get it there. I don't think I've seen a crown done quite like that before. It feels absolutely solid. You see how large this is. Alright, so it's right at 40 millimeters. I actually don't mind that arrow hour hand. Usually I'm not a huge fan of that, especially if they aren't really sharp. Kind of like some of the ones that Omega does, or like Serica, where it's just a really sharp arrow. But this one's not too bad. It's kind of subtle. Those indices look really nice. There's lume on this, so when I do the full review of it, we'll get some time-lapsed footage of that. But man, yeah, that dial, so good. I wonder what size the edifice is. I don't think I measured this yet. Alright, so it's at 42, maybe 41. I think I might have gotten the crown guard in there. It's at about 41 millimeters. Alright, so I'm going to research these, spend some time with them, and then I'll do a full review of them. And this one here is going to be going up for trade. But before I let you go, let's see what these look like when you're wearing them. Let me take off my D1 Milano. I have really been enjoying this watch. So cool. And it has a very elegant dial as well. Alright, I'll take this off and we'll see what these other two watches look like when you're wearing them. Here is the edifice on my 7-inch wrist. I have this sized down so it fits me. Look at how thin that is. That is super cool. Just that thinness. And the subtle green on black. That is a great colorway. Yeah, thanks so much to the viewer for gifting this to the channel. That was very kind of you, thank you. And here is the Cestrian on my 7-inch wrist. My wrist is 55 millimeters wide. I haven't adjusted this bracelet, so it's a little bit more loose than I would wear it. However, the viewer who sent these to me has roughly the same size wrist, so it's not too terrible. Very classy, kind of a dressy sports watch. This thing has real, like, Christopher Ward, Oyster Perpetual kind of vibes to it. Maybe a touch of Grand Seiko vibes to it. I don't know. That dial, yeah, that is cool. Very nice looking. Especially in person. In person, this looks just brilliant. Very cool. So there you have it, the Cestrian watch, which looks amazing. The build quality seems to be absolutely on point. I love the colorway, and that dial is really impressive. And the Edifice watch, with its nice subtle color hues at the indices, and that green seconds hand. And it's nice and thin, I love it. Once I've spent a little bit more time with these watches, done a little bit of digging into Cestrian, I'll do full reviews of them, and I'll put the Cestrian up for trade. Thanks for watching.